You guys up until 2 here on a Monday. We got Heat action tonight. The Heat take on the Clippers at 10:30.
Oh, damn.
It's late, dude. Get some sleep.
Keep getting later. Give me a 9 o'clock, baby.
They were 9 o'clock versus the Jazz. That game was not very entertaining.
Yeah.
That game was the last game.
There's football tonight, so
the Blazers game was surprisingly entertaining, especially when Hero and Simons got into like a shoot-off in the third quarter. That was crazy. Those guys couldn't miss. Simons put a scare into us. I tell you who didn't, though. Scoot did. Scoot. Dude, I cannot stop laughing at Nikola Jović continuing to call Kel'el his rook. I think it's funny every time.
Wait, isn't Kel'el older than him?
No, I think he's like 10 months younger than Nico. Like, barely. But it's like those two. And I got to tell you, I got a bone to pick with Spo, too. He keeps doing respectfully, with all due respect, Spo. He's doing this thing, right? Where, people are asking, obviously, about the two young bigs, which any Heat fan will tell you right now, the most fun part of the game is tall time.
Yep.
Tall time gets going, and it's just like those guys are looking for each other. We're looking for lobs. Nico, you never know what he's going to pull off. He's like throwing behind the back. He's got the razzle-dazzle, but they're also big. And Kel'el's just blocking. Dude, did you see that one he swatted into the seats? Did you see that, Frog Boy?
I haven't seen that since Whiteside.
Swatted it into the seats, dude. And Kel'el's like, It was very exciting. But Spo, he's doing this thing, right? Where he's like, I don't want to talk about it. He doesn't want to give any flowers to the young guys, trying to keep the old ego in check. And I'm like, hey, you know what I don't like? I don't like that you sat here and you were like, I'm not going to play them. Now they're out here playing. Well, you're like, I'm not going to talk about it. We're going to develop. Shh. In our little hub. Can you get this Frog Boy Spo from yesterday or from 2 days ago? Because he's like, we like the minutes. We like the minutes that Ware give us. But he's like, shh. He's like, let us just develop them. I'm like, what? Now they're yours? Your secret? Now you get to say, oh, you guys don't get. No. We're not going to let their heads get too big. I didn't like that. I got a bone to pick with them. What do you mean? Let's throw little flowers at the young bucks and how they're playing. Nope. Just refuses to go overboard with it.
Just got to be cautious now, Heat players' egos at an all-time high, apparently.
I don't think they are high. Well, we're just having a little fun, baby. And Spo just wants to keep everything basket hand. We can never go overboard with him.
How dare he be focused? How dare he?
They just never can go full dive in. And he's like, he scolded us early in the year. He was like, Heat Nation, don't I know everybody wants to the moon, but it goes like this. And I don't know, dude, because right now I see a couple of tall astronauts. That's what I see with Kel'el Ware and Nikola Jović.
Well,
this was Spo about the minutes that those.
Yeah, we like those minutes. I mean, how can you not? They're developing a nice chemistry. It's not just about the lob. But Nico does throw that pass really well to him. They have size and versatility defensively, and they're both gaining confidence. So we just want to be open to where this can grow, and the more we can just kind of shelter everybody and let us do our job, developing these guys. I think it is exciting when you add the work that they put in, but now with the confidence, what's coming from that.
What the hell does it mean, shelter? Let us do our job.
What's that mean?
Shelter? What? This is ridiculous. Shelter. You want to play Kevin Love out there for all these games. Just Kevin Love out there. I tell you who we had to take shelter from. His bricks.
Wow, dude. It's okay, he'll be back.
But then when he throws that lob to Kel'el, I'm just like, tall time. It's so exciting, dude. So exciting. Now, another thing that's exciting, Leroy, had a lot of chitter chat from the players around the former players around this Jimmy Butler saga. I feel like a lot of chitter chat. I feel like most people have been on Jimmy Butler's side, especially got this Paul Pierce. Sick of him. This Paul Pierce is like, no one's ever going to want to play for the Heat again. Which remind me, did he finish a Wizard?
Yes, he
Clear.
Yes, he did.
But you have a lot of former players. But we needed one former player to step up with honor. One of Pat Riley's own, Tim Hardaway, was on NBA radio, Leroy.
Oh, boy.
And Tim Hardaway.
Oh, boy.
Now remember, Tim Hardaway came out this summer. He was on the All the Smoke podcast. And he said, Pat Riley's sick of Jimmy Butler. Sick of him, dude. And I was like, come on, Tim, that's a little strong. Seems like Timmy knew.
Seems like he knew.
We know right now that we're in the midst of a suspension. And I don't know if there's been an appeal yet or anything like that. I don't think there has. But Tim Hardaway says that's because the Heat did their due diligence. They put in a book, Leroy, to the league with video evidence.
Wow.
Here was Tim Hardaway.
Disrespect authority, and that's what Jimmy Butler has been doing. And I tell you this, Pat Riley, this boat is going to sail on top of the water as long as Pat Riley there. Jimmy Butler's trying to sink that ship. That ship is not going to sink. I'm all with Pat Riley. You under contract, you know, you play up under this contract. We may see where all the chips may fall. But you can opt into $52 million next year that you say you're not going to opt into, which just is mind-boggling to me. How you gonna opt out of $52 million? All right, but it's all about authority saying no to somebody, and these guys can't take rejection, and that's what it's all about. It's about accountability. If you can't take rejection because everything has been saying yes, 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 yes to you, now you upset that the world is coming to an end. Oh, I can't play now because he's not going to give me the money that I want. No, go out there and play. You're under contract. Go ahead and play. I know Pat, and that's what is going. That's what's happening. And I knew that. I said, look, Pat got a 10-page letter to the Players Association, and he's going to have film showing why he suspended this man before that even happened. And guess what? He suspended him for 7 games. And I know he gave them a 10-page letter, and I know he gave them some film to show them why he suspended them.
Wow.
Hey.
Wow.
Or is that an expression? Is he
Notice we haven't heard anything about an appeal.
Not yet. Not that I'm aware of. I haven't seen it yet.
He's right from this standpoint. As a player, you seem to be a little unrealistic to hold your team hostage for 2 years down the road. Not this year, not next year, but you're doing this over 2026. So at what point can the team demand that you play for the contract we just gave you? And we'll figure that out. They have every right to say that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the whole part of the thing that, caught me off guard, because Jimmy said, well, I'm just going to go out and ball.
That's the thing that's completely deterred off of this, right? It's like Jimmy said this entire time, well, I'm going to go out and prove it. Well, then why is it that you're not proving it?
Right.
Why did you coast? Why did you go away for 2 weeks?
Right.
Why apparently won't you go to a team that doesn't have an extension in hand? You only will go to one team.
Right. Because if it's all about proving that you deserve that money, you shouldn't have a problem proving that anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
That's the part that throws me off, and where I wouldn't even consider what you were saying. Now I'm thinking about it, is that maybe he thinks he's too banged up to make it that far. And he wanted to get that contract because he know 2 years from now he ain't going to be able to play.
Timbo Slice says, because he's a big-faced liar.
Whoa.
Whoa, dude. Tim Hardaway,
Mhm.
he then threw out some accusations, Leroy, about Jimmy Butler,
What?
saying that maybe he was potentially getting some stone crabs, some old place that we disgraced because I dressed like an elf there. That Jimmy Butler, while his team was in Orlando playing basketball, he was kicking it up, kicking back at Prime 112.
It does affect the team, and that's all about Jimmy, and that's Jimmy's fault, and you can blame all that on Jimmy. You know, you under contract. You obliged by that contract. You go out there and play under that contract. You know, it's not about, you trying to, you're trying to get a new contract. Everybody understand that. But you're still under contract. And you got to oblige by that contract that you signed, that you wanted. Okay? And it's hurting those guys. Yes, it is hurting those guys. And you letting those guys down. And you know why you let those guys down by, not playing in Orlando and then out kicking it somewhere. People were calling me saying, man, he's not even playing in Orlando. He had Prime 112 kicking in and eating and hanging out with folks. So and they hearing the same thing, and that's what's so bad about, that whole situation.
Hey, that is, and again, if he heard it, then Pat Riley heard it. And what do you think? And what do you think is how Pat Riley is handling that?
Oh, not great.
Yeah,
and I don't know which Orlando game it was, but we had the game because they had that weird schedule. They were in Orlando, home, back to Orlando. One of them was the one he was supposedly sick. The other one was a reconditioning to competition, whatever.
Right.
So I guess you got to eat. But something says that Tim Hardaway was like, fishy.
And he must be hearing something that, like, the Heat don't feel that way. There's a difference in a 25-year-old. One is extension. And remember, Tyler wanted his extension. Bam wanted his extension. They played through it. And they both had the attitude of, that'll come. Right now, it's time for me to hoop. Now, granted, they're at different ages. They're at different points in their career. So they can have those, those thoughts because they're so young.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy may feel differently about that. But think about how you would feel if somebody really talked you into doing something 2 years from now and say, you got to do it now. You got to do it now. Wouldn't you have questions about the stuff you're buying? Wouldn't you have questions about the stuff you're paying for? Because if it's a good deal, it'll be a good deal tomorrow. If it's a good deal, the only way it could be a bad deal is if what you're getting under contract for is broken.
Well, the worst look for him is going to be if the Heat can get to a higher record than they've ever had with him this year, right? Like they've been that 3 over 500's kind of been the hurdle, the highest they've been able to get to. But if they, like you said, if they can come back and they're 5 over, and you're sitting here and being like, and I don't want to hear anything about the competition. Like,
does it help? Here, if they come back 5-1, I'll say 4-2, and they come back and they're feeling good, is it more of a hindrance for Jimmy to come back with how you would have to play him, when you would have to play him, dealing with do you start him or not? Wouldn't that disrupt Dabble Card even more?
I think yes and no. Like, I think it does, but I think you always handle things better when you're in a better record position.
Okay. I get that.
Because you're not going to feel as like the disaster for the Heat would have been they suspended him and everything keeps happening like they did against the Jazz, and like they just couldn't mentally handle it. That would have been the worst case scenario,
right? Mm-hmm.
Because it would have been feeling like, okay, we just got to get this guy away. It's almost like, being desperate to trade Kyle Lowry last year because you just didn't want the headache, and you get foisted into a desperate move of trading for Terry Rozier in a first round and trading away a first round pick. if they can finish this road trip 4-2, then yeah, I think that they're gonna feel them like they're gonna be in a strong position no matter what.
But this is what, looking at the chat. In
Mhm.
what world do you think Jimmy comes back and plays hard? That's the question I have. And like,
Unless he's just been like, I understand the doubt. I think your doubt is right. The only thing that could stand to reason for him is being like, hey, Bradley Beal doesn't want to be traded. Like if it literally can just be, hey man, the one we had a trade. Here's the only things that could change, Leroy. They had a trade for him and he nuked it somewhere else. And the only place you want to go, the guy that wants to be traded doesn't want to be traded.
right.
So now what? What are you going to do? That's the only way. But yeah, I get everybody who thinks he's going to go out there and just take a poop on the court. I understand it. Tim Hardaway also had some words because this Paul Pierce has been a rat bastard.
Still with Paul Pierce. Like, let him go.
Tim Hardaway had this to say about Paul Pierce.
Okay, let's talk about Paul Pierce. Paul Pierce said he's better than Dwayne Wade. I'm gonna stop right there. You're out your mind. You've been smoking too much. Tell you the truth.
Yikes. Wow. That is a bizarre take on Paul Pierce's end, though. But, I mean, it's Paul
But
Pierce.
Paul Pierce just did that because D-Wade was beating his butt.
I'm just going to stop here with the case. This man said he was better than Dwayne Wade. Before we close this out, we, of course, have to, with all this Tim Hardaway content, have to be reminded of one of the greatest show answers in show history, which is, of course, when Tim Hardaway was asked, what is worse, brain freeze or hitting your funny bone? And this is what Tim Hardaway had to say. And one more ruling before we get you out of here, Tim Hardaway. What is worse in your mind, hitting your funny bone or brain freeze?
Oh, I mean, shoot. I would say, man, both are terrible. I say hitting your funny bone, man. Hitting your funny bone, your whole arm goes numb. I mean, for about, it can go numb for about a minute and a half. With brain freeze for about 40 seconds, and you back at it. But hitting that funny bone, ooh. I mean, you have to get a sub. You got sub me out for a couple minutes. That ain't nothing nice. That ain't nothing nice.
Wow.
The worst thing in the world is, I'm gonna tell you what the worst thing on the football field is the injury where everybody on the field knows it hurt like hell, but you can't tell nobody what it is. Like when it's cold, and we used to have those cleats, and people would get their toes stepped on or their foot stepped on, you see tears coming from their eyes because it hurts so bad and it's so cold. And you just look up and say, somebody stepped on your toe.